Okay, I'm going to paint a few quick watercolors of wildlife, and I'm just going to work hopefully in a quick manner, more or less doing it as if I was actually out there in the field painting, which is what I really like to do. So yeah, rather than focusing on just one larger, more finished painting, I'm going to be doing small, quick things. And I'm delighted to show you that my watercolor set is clean. Well, mostly clean. And it's very, very rare that I open it up and discover that it's like this. But I was up filming on the far north line, Inverness to Thurso, the railway line, and I cleaned my palette afterwards for once. So there we go. Unfortunately, I can't get this all figured out so that you can see the palette as well as what I'm painting, so I do apologise for that. You might be able to see some of it. I've got a big pot of water, big jar of water, which I like to use if possible, to have a large amount of water there. I store up old napkins from cafes and things, and we're allowed to go into cafes again, so more napkin collecting can be done. And I use them to dry my brush on. I'm going to, first of all, do my painting, quick painting based on this. This is a lapwing. And sometimes in breeding season, lapwings, you'll have these huge, amazing crests, significantly bigger than this particular one here had. So I'm going to do a quick sketch, a watercolour sketch of some of this. Musselburgh is where I sketched this. I've got lots of different brushes which I use. Many of them almost never get used. The ones which get used most often are these three. The watercolour ones which get used most often are these three. And this one in particular I really like. It was bought for watercolour, and it's just really nice because it can hold loads of paint in these bristles, and you can do nice big broad marks with it, but you can also use it in a very, well, pretty detailed way. So we'll see how that goes. This is also a watercolour brush, just a different shape. This is an extremely cheap brush, which I think just cost a couple of pounds. I think it's sold as, oh, there we go, it's just sold as fit for hobby and school. And this is probably my favourite shape of brush, these rectangular ones. So I find that this comes in really handy when I'm painting watercolour and when I'm painting acrylic. I've also got some fine brushes. These are still carefully packaged from my trip up north. And here are the three I've got here. Just fine bristles. I may or may not use them. Okay, right, so let's get started. I'll be pausing the video now and again, perhaps, if any really noisy trains come past my studio, or any noisy people on the platform. These things definitely do happen. So, okay, while I can, I'll hold my palette here. Brown, dark brown, I've always got in my watercolour palette, and my acrylic palette, and my oil palette. Ultramarine blue. I'll have to move that over there now. Oops, marked the paper a bit, but never mind. Okay. I love it in painting when you get to a stage either within your painting, a particular painting, or within painting in general, where you're confident enough to just sometimes let your brush do these really lovely quick movements. That's what painting's all about for me, is just the the feeling of the brush and the paint moving across the paper. It was when I did that couple of marks up there on the crest that I thought, oh yeah, that felt nice. Okay. If you haven't ever seen lapwings doing their display flight, you really should, because they have these incredible paddle-shaped wings, and they do this tumbling in the air in these very bizarre calls. The first time Jennifer and I saw a lapwing doing this, we really thought that it was in distress, it was injured. And if you're lucky enough to be friends with any great wildlife artists, which I am, I am friends with them. If you sit and or stand and watch as they paint a species that they know well, it's just amazing the speed and accuracy with which these people can paint. And as I say, accuracy, they can accurately capture not necessarily all the details, but the feeling of specific species. And isn't it amazing that just a brush and paint and a person's hand can do all that? Art's great. Oh, I hear people out on the platform again. Might get noisy. Don't know if you can hear that announcement or not. Please stand clear of the platform edge, fast train approaching. Okay. You're going to hear that fast train in a moment. Coming through now. There we go. I see we're getting some annoying reflection in here. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so there we go. That's my lapwing blocked in, and I'm going to add some colour into this one. I'll try to bring this a bit closer again. Lapwings have got these brilliant metallic greens and purples and blues. On one of my favourite bird books here, it just so happens that the front cover has a lapwing on it. Better to see one in real life, and then you can really get the metallic colours, but you can see that this artist in this very detailed painting has represented them pretty well, really well. So there we go. And if you're not painting out and about outdoors, do not worry about that at all. Just, even if you just look through your copy of the RSPB magazine and do lots of quick paintings from some of the amazing photos in there. Great way to learn how animals look. So yeah, the metallic green I'm putting in while that undercoat is still wet. I'm afraid I don't really follow any particular rules in my painting. I'm not very traditional. I know I've told you that before. Now some yellow ochre, which I'm going to put up on the back of the head here. And I'm going to put touches of it down on bits of the neck as well, for just bring some warmth in here, which I see looks like a reflection on my camera screen. Okay, and Going to bring some of the metallic colours into the neck as well. Trying mixing a bit of blue in now. Ultramarine blue again I've mixed in with this green. Oh, fast rain approaching. A good thing about working outdoors, if you're working on a warmish day, train coming. I'll just stop talking. If you're working on a warmish day, you can, when your paint is still really wet like this bit is and this bit is, but you want to get onto the next layer without colours merging, you can hold it in the sunlight and let it dry for a few minutes, and it often will dry in just a few minutes. I just paused the recording there while a very lengthy station announcement was going on. Okay, so back to the painting. It gave me time to think, which is good. Just mixing up a dark up here. As always, I can tell that I said that I'm just going to do a series of very quick paintings, but never as quick as I said, never as quick as I intend. That was me mixing up even more of the dark. Okay, now so for putting in a bit of detail around here, I may feel that I need to go down to a smaller brush. Let's see. Maybe not. Going to darken up here now. Yeah, that looks more lapwingy when you bring in the real dark on top of the head and the real dark facial markings. Okay, thinking of not doing much more to this one actually. But I will show you in a moment. Okay, you see down here where I've not done anything and not painted in much apart from this, not painted in anything apart from this one line. Well, just to have a think about, you could leave your just repositioning things so that you can maybe see it unreflecting. Ah, that's better, look at that, see? Now you can see the colours much better. But if I paint with it at that angle, the paint will all run to the right. Anyway, yeah, so you could have a pure white background like that, or I could paint in some of the some colour behind the bird in order to provide form to the tummy and the chest without me actually painting the tummy and the chest. So I think I will do that just here. Getting my yellow ochre. There we go. Mixing in another yellow. And I can now just lift that up a bit. There we go. Okay. There we go. Now, if I'd let the whole thing dry, the head dry, and I wanted to extend the yellow up here, as I'm now doing, I could do that and could go right up to the edges, but of course I can't do that here because this is still wet, and if I bring this beautiful yellow right up to the line of wet black, the two will mix together very merrily, and that's not what I'm after this time. So this is me in the danger zone. Will my fat brush mess up and mix yellow with other darker colours, or will it not? I think if I hurry up and stop, I will have got away with it. Okay, there we go. I shall leave that there. So, painting one done, and how long's that lasted? 17 minutes, oh, for goodness sake. I'll now very briefly hold it up so that you can angle it up so that you can see without the reflections. Do not want that yellow to run too much. Okay, there we go. You can see the yellow moving down. I'm afraid I'm going to put it down now. Okay, wildlife number 2. I'm going to do much quicker, I hope, really quick painting sketches of red squirrels based on these sketches which I did up at Braemar a couple of New Years ago. These pens are pretty nice to sketch with. They're these artist brush pens. A few different brands are available. The ones that I really like are called Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen, and you get different brush sizes, but these ones with the bold B on top nibs are really nice for doing this sort of thing. And of course it's pen, so you can't do any rubbing out, but that can be good for making you brave. So I'm just going to have this up here, and I'm going to show you some quick splashy watercolory versions of them. Not using the same water which I just used for lapwings, because look at the colour of it. Here's a fresh-ish one. Okay. Fast train approaching. I'm going to mix a red squirrel-ish colour using this lovely rich red. Is it alizarin crimson? Like I said, I sort of just get on with it, and I'm not very good at the rules and not at all good at remembering names of colours. That sounds like a long fast train, so that is either favourite train, as me and my son, 3 3/4-year-old son, call it, or it is the LNER London train. Okay, look, I've got this red mixed up, so let's see what happens here. First quick squirrel up here. So imagine while I'm doing this that you're looking through a window at squirrels on the bird feeders directly outside the window, as I was doing, and using your brush to just try to quickly get the shapes. When you're doing this sort of thing, when I'm doing this sort of thing, many of my individual shapes don't look like anything much at all. But don't worry about that if it happens to you too, because you're learning by every mark you make. Need a drink of water. And I do find that, say I spend half an hour or an hour doing this, looking just at the one species, birds or whatever, out there on the feeders outside windows. Or also this works well if you're watching nature documentaries, or webcams online on things like Springwatch. After some time of doing this, your shapes start to become much more accurate as your hand warms up and as you become more familiar with the animal you're looking at. So now, what I'm showing you now is not really so much about going for great finished artworks, but it's just about learning and recording the shapes, and it's about observing. By doing this, I'm looking up and down at those squirrels out there. I'm gradually coming to understand them more and more. And if you're worried about using up nice materials, expensive paper for this sort of thing, well, don't worry about that. Just use things like the inside of cracker boxes or cereal boxes or envelopes that you store up, just anything, because you're not doing anything but experimenting and trying to learn. Like, look, here's a curled up squirrel, its tail, its leg, hind leg, front leg, ear. That's all it needs to be. You can try to go for outlining using your brush, as I'm doing in this one, or you can just block everything in, as I've been doing with the other ones. And then I'm blocking this one in too. Red squirrels some of them, the size of the tufts on those gorgeous ears, they're pretty amazing to see. Okay, there we go. Going to do a couple more. Remember, as I'm doing them, I'm basing them on these. But it would be good if you did yours based on, well, it could be based on photos that you have. Oh, I can't show you these ones so well anymore. Or based on something that you're watching on screen, or of course if you're lucky enough to have red squirrels out your window, please do use them. It's just so lovely drawing with paint like this. So after these squirrels, I'm just going to leave you to try your own lapwings, your own squirrels, or just whatever animals you wish. And although I'm all about wildlife, and this video is all about wildlife, well, lots of us have pets, and Pets can be pretty good subject matter, can be really, really good for just getting you a bit more practiced, a bit more confident at looking at animals in general, painting animals in general. Because you have the pets in your house, and depending what they are, they're probably not going to move too much. So yeah, don't be worried to paint your pets instead. And this is a chubby squirrel. I think it must be a really cold day. It's all fluffed up. Wildlife can look so different. I'm thinking of birds in particular, but wildlife can look so different depending on the temperature on that particular day. If you look at like garden birds on garden feeders in winter, they'll be so fluffed up that they can look very different. You'll often look at them and think they're fat, but it's not at all that they're fat. It's just that they're filling their feathers up with air for insulation. There we go. Tail just going off the bottom there. Okay, I'm just going to hold this one up, same as before. So here we go, 5 red squirrels. Right, I'll leave it at that, and I hope that this, combined with my video showing a variety of my own pre-existing wildlife watercolour paintings, just gives you an idea how you might approach your animal painting a bit differently. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and I hope you've also enjoyed train spotting with me. I shall see you later. Goodbye.